Welcome back to the Reptiles With Podcast. So before we get the ball rolling, there's a little topic going around right now. Turns out that Brian Barczyk has cancer.
Yeah.
So
The C word.
Yes, the C word. There is a Facebook group called hashtag Stay Strong Brian for anybody that wants to put like a nice message for him. That's definitely the place to do it. The cancer that he has is pretty rough, to say the least. And it's
Did you watch the videos he had put out?
I did watch the videos, and I kind of had a feeling it would be that just off of like a couple of the things that he was saying. But of course, you're like, no, let's let it not be that. But yeah, so that's the situation. I'm pretty sure one of the next podcasts that we do will probably just really touch up in detail about how we're feeling about the thing. Yeah. Especially, when Chuck's here, because he's not here because his tummy hurts. Yeah. So we're actually going to call him in the middle of the podcast. He ate bad fish. Yeah, he ate bad something. But yeah, we'll go in details. Actually, this podcast bumped one of the other podcasts that we have coming out, just so that way we could touch on some like really like new topics that just happened. Yeah. But let's get the ball rolling on these topics.
Yes.
It's podcast time!
You're so disgusting.
I just came back from a trip.
Nice.
Okay. I'm not going to say where it was because of the reptile shops that I'm going to talk about.
Yes.
Mind you, at least one of the people that works at the shop definitely listens to the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Because when I went into the shop,
they mentioned
they mentioned, they were like, I was just talking about you. This is the podcast guy. I was like, fuck.
Damn. You listen?
But yeah. Dude, literally like about that trip, it was solid. I got to hang out with my wife and her friends. That it was one of their baby showers. I ate like some shitty fucking... Why is there no like good food over there? The pizza that I had over there was so bad.
It's a college town. There's no standards.
General college town.
Yeah. It's a college town. So like no one's gonna fucking like... These kids are eating Hot Pockets and like microwave burritos. Bro, there's no standards.
the place was called I Love New York Pizza. I didn't love that pizza. I would not have even fed that to like an alligator. That's bad fucking pizza.
That's so bad. Oh my god.
But I visited some of the shops there, which I know that you're familiar with. Dude, like the reason why I'm not saying the names of the shops is because I'm not trying to shit on the shops. But dude, it was not a good time.
Yeah.
The service was whack. I mean, I don't know if it's just because I'm used to how we do things here. Okay. Where like somebody walks in and everybody that walks in is greeted with, hey, how's it going? Or hi, how are you? Whatever, how can I help you? Right? Yeah. I walk into the shop. I'm in the shop for 30 minutes. The employee and I have made eye contact. It's completely ignored me. Just working. And mind you, if they're busy, they're busy. I'm not pay attention to me. But I was like, yo, Caquita service. Okay. Then I'm like walking around. I'm like, yo, fucking, it smells like reptile shop in here, dude. Yeah. And then I'm looking at the fucking enclosures, and there's literally like shit smeared all over the glass. So I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to see the fucking animals? Yeah. And it made me think like, how many people, like, especially with how populated that area is, how many people walk into that shop and that's their first example of what a reptile shop is. Yeah. Right? They walk in, they're like, this is the reptile community. Yeah. And that is, they're either going to see that and walk the fuck out, or they're going to go in there, buy the animal, and that's going to be their standard.
Not so much to justify it, because I'm not trying to justify it, but more kind of explain. Yeah. It is an old area. Old area with a lot of old herpers. And herpers, like herp people.
Not people with herpes.
No, of course not. Maybe.
Actually, it is a college town, so probably. They definitely have herpes.
But yeah, so it's like, it's not justification at all. It's more like, yeah, the people there have been there for years. Yeah. Like they've had their customer bases. Like they've had regulars, like age with them. Yeah. It's like, geez, that's crazy. And that's the problem with like when things get too old. Yeah. And they don't try to make anything new. They don't try to do anything better. They don't keep up. It's like, it's going to turn to nothing, basically.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the owner of those places, the person's not old.
Nope.
Have better standards, dude.
I mean, the place is old. The mentality is old.
I guess. It
is.
Yeah, mind you, one of the workers that did know me, he was very nice. Yeah. But we already have a rapport.
Yeah. And I was raised raised, like
Quote, unquote.
grew up in the reptile industry, like shown the ropes, I guess.
Yeah.
By older heads. So like.
Hey yo. Pause.
So it's like, and sometimes I bring it here sometimes where it's like, to an extent with the reptile smell, I'm like, look, I fall into the mindset like we're a pet shop. Like you really expect them not to smell.
Yeah.
Like there's rats and
Yeah.
animals living in tanks. You know, like of
Yeah.
course it's gonna smell. There's turtle tanks. But of course, yeah, you do your best to like make it presentable, make it better.
Yeah. Like there, of course, yeah.
Or I stick my hands in
yeah.
like crickets and like
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter. I don't
Yeah.
use gloves or whatever. 'Cause
Yeah,
like,
there
who
is
cares?
a smell here, right? Because there's a lot of reptiles, right? There's insects, rodents,
Whatever.
But no, at this fucking place, bro, it smells, dude.
Yeah.
Yo, fucking get some fucking air circulation in that shit, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. But I kind of hope that they see this because maybe it puts a pep in their
Did you
step.
go both?
I did go to both. The thing is, like I said, man, in the end of the day, like people are walking into that store and that's what they think. If they don't go to any other stores, if they don't really like venture out in the reptile community and they're going in to see that, like it's a shame because that's not a good representation of the community. That's not a good representation of
What we're trying to do.
What the community is today, you know, and that should not be a representation of how you should care for your animals.
No, it's not.
You know. But yeah, that's that. And on the shit about shit that we've done, we just did the BallSht podcast.
The BallSht podcast
with Sean Bradley.
Yeah. It's funny, during that podcast, I didn't realize why it was called BallSht. And then I was like, oh, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
BallSht. Hilarious.
Ball pythons.
High quality meme right there.
Yeah.
Dad puns.
Yeah. How did you feel about it?
Interesting. It was cool to have a different person kind of talking with us.
Yeah.
And we usually have like live, but it was like a weird perspective because it was my first one like over the screen. So I was like, whoa, interesting. It was interesting. No offense, very long. Because I was like, oh, I hadn't seen one until like we were really like talking about doing it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, how long are these? And I was like, 2 hours. Like,
yeah.
Like, because ours are like 45 minutes to like an hour and 30.
Yeah.
And it's like, oof, okay.
And there's a reason for that, you know, because I mean, I guess when you're doing it live, it creates a different experience, right? But with how we do it, that it's a little more produced, it's more of a show. Yeah. You know, what I've noticed is that people tend to tune out after like 30 minutes to 45 minutes. So I'm like, okay, 45 minutes is a good place to be at. We shoot for the hour, but if our good topics end by 45, we're good at 45.
Yeah.
You know, because in the end of the day, like, I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and yeah, I do listen to Joe Rogan, which those are always like 3 fucking hours.
I could never.
Yeah, but the thing is that like, I'm really into the topic that we're talking about.
Gotcha.
Or you know, you already have the rapport. Yeah. But like, I don't think we'd be able to do a 3-hour podcast. We did 2.5 with Ron, and yeah, that was like the max. It was always entertaining, but dude, that BallSht podcast, it was fun, but it took a lot out of me, a lot, dude. So, was there anything from that podcast that like stood out to you? I mean, I don't want to talk too much in detail about like everything we spoke about.
Yeah, go look at it.
Exactly.
Go watch it.
Go watch that one.
But we were talking about with Sean about how potentially maybe the U.S. might eventually start looking like Europe.
Yeah,
in the sense that like racks might go out, more legislation might come in, more legislation is gonna come in. We're talking about things like that. And he's not, no offense, again, he's older than us, so he's been like, he's seen a lot more. He's been in the hobby a lot more.
Yeah.
He's in other hobbies as well, like the aquarium stuff. So it's like, yeah, he has a lot of input and like wisdom to kind of throw on that. So it was like, wow, it was really nice to have that other perspective. Because Chuck's also like, the 3 of us are young dudes, so it's like, and young dudes in the hobby as well. We haven't been in this like, you know, decades. So it's like, wow.
I like being called young. Thank you. Did you think that it was going to be primarily ball pythons because of the name? Yeah. Yes.
I was like, all right, I got my 3 sentences on ball pythons. We're good. I know 4 more. We got this.
But you were surprised though. You were like, oh, we get to talk about all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
BallSht.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a podcast recently with daffysreptiles in Canada. Right. So the topic.
You went to Canada?
Yeah, I went to Canada.
That's
dude.
crazy.
It was fun. It's cold, and I don't like it there because the United States is better. I'm kidding. But it was another Zoom one. So if you want to go check that one out, it's under Daffy's Round Table, I think is the name of the YouTube channel, where we spoke about if breeders should be influencers, right? That's like an open topic because it's like, if you are a breeder, should you be taking the time to like almost exploit your animals? Should there be a divide there? And I'm not gonna give too much of my opinion on that because I spoke it ad nauseum on that podcast. Check it out. But I wanted to hear what you had to say about that.
My philosophical brain automatically says we need to define breeders and influencers. What do these terms mean? So let's say a breeder is someone, I'm assuming, let's give examples, like a nerd, an L Reptiles, large companies that are producing animals.
Okay.
However which way, because I still think within the term breeders that's what we're meaning, like people that are like pushing, I guess, a couple bit of animals.
Okay.
And then influencers, I'm going to say YouTubers and Instagrammers. People that don't necessarily have a lot, but are posting a lot and are giving a lot of information about what they're doing, what they're keeping, all that kind of stuff. Okay. So I think there is a lost potential in having particular breeders not being influencers. For example, Arids Only. I forget your name, I'm sorry. But like he does mostly Uromastics. And he has like a whole bunch of species and even like I think locales, which is like a fire. It's fantastic. And it's like, that guy should be an influencer, and he does a podcast. I think Project Herpetoculture, I think, is the one. And so that's awesome. I get to hear specifically from the guy who knows what he's doing. Same thing with Nerd. Nerd is another facility that goes ahead and like actually, not necessarily a day to day, but does put out videos a lot of the times about how it is to keep these reptiles. Tips and tricks, different ways of doing things, that kind of thing. And it's like these are the people that should be talking, not necessarily influencers that keep like a goldfish and a freaking sugar glider, and it's like you not to shit on those people, but it's like you don't really know what you're doing. Why would I be listening to you?
I think like the biggest concern for that we were all speaking about, the four of us, was the amount of power influencers have,
right?
And how they, because of that influence, they really have almost like a stronghold on specific species and markets and stuff like that.
Mexican black king snake is a perfect example.
Yeah, how so?
A lot of people, so already a black snake, everyone likes it, but like 10 years ago, you'd go in $50-$60, no problem. All of a sudden, YouTube started really, really picking up. Instagram started really picking up. TikTok, and people had Mexican black king snakes. One, because they're cool, but then like everybody sees the Mexican black king snake, boom, the market goes up.
I'll do you a real life example, and it's right behind you.
You guys say blue tongues?
No. Axolotls.
Axolotls. Another. Well, it wasn't influencers necessarily. Well, I guess if Minecraft is an influencer,
it has influence,
but it did seriously influence axolotl sales. It's crazy because we see parents come in and they're like they can't pronounce it.
Yeah, they're like trying to get you to finish the sentence. They're like Axa who's it?
But then their 7-year-old kid comes in. It's like axolotl. Oh my gosh!
On that note, I'd also like to add this is something I find very amazing. There multiple occurrences. People have come in not knowing that axolotls were real.
Shut the fuck up.
They thought it was just an animal that they made up in Minecraft, and they'll walk in and their minds explode.
That's crazy.
How did you do this?
Oh my god.
How'd you put the lizard in the water?
That's amazing.
Why isn't it a block? Yeah, that's interesting. So such examples. So I guess maybe if breeders were to go ahead and like really, really have more of a grasp on the influencer thing, do you think that would be like a negative thing, or like maybe they'd influence a wrong way?
This is the thing. My actual concern with it is, and I did speak about it on the podcast, my actual concern is that we give a certain amount of power to these people by following them continuously, liking, comment, or whatever, and allowing them to give us their opinion, right? But now it almost creates like a disconnect, like if that person is above. Okay.
Yeah. Someone to admire, to follow.
Exactly. Now let's say that person with hundreds and maybe thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of followers did a bad thing to me.
Okay.
And I am a singular person in the back.
Right.
How am I supposed to speak out against this Goliath?
Okay, fair.
And that is like my actual concern is like, okay, like what if that person is doing some shady shit behind the scenes and I know about it, but I can't go out there and say anything because then their army destroys me.
Okay.
You know?
I see what you're saying.
And that is like my issue with it, especially because we are not talking about commodities and like regular products or just like somebody's persona and the person that they are. No, we're talking about live animals and dealing in live animals. And a lot can happen with live animals.
Right.
You know?
I think that this is a lot of, but like, I see it mostly as like regular influencer ethics. You know, like as an influencer, you have a responsibility. You are going to change probably markets.
Yeah.
You are going to influence a lot of people to do certain things depending on what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, you know. And I think Chuck would honestly say that it's not your responsibility. He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you to do these things, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, but yeah, you still do have that responsibility because you are influencing. You're doing it. And showing people it can be done. One such instance, I was in working at the old shop that I used to work at, where my manager, he came in and he was like, man, I hate this person. I'm not going to say who they are. But it's an influencer, a big influencer. It's like, I hate this person. And I was like, yo, why? Because I had been watching them for a little bit. And they're like, because they're teaching kids, like little teenagers, little boys, that they can go ahead and get venomous snakes and free handle them, do whatever they want with them, that this is easy, this, that, and the other, you know? And it's like, yeah, I mean, they're not literally doing it. This YouTube channel is not literally doing this for these kids and stuff. But it's like, you know, it is, because these kids don't see this person as any different than them.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, that guy's just like me. I can do this, you know? And it's like, and in some states, like in Florida, for instance, you can't be just like him just because you choose to. You have to go through the paperwork process. Yeah. But if you go to somewhere like Texas or wherever, you can just do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah, grab it, do the thing that you saw on YouTube. And is that his fault to an extent? I think so. You showed him that it could be done.
Yeah.
And that it wasn't that a big a deal.
Yeah, for sure. Well, on Chuck, we should call him, see his opinion on this. We are going to give him a phone call. We have
in between the shitting and the vomiting.
Give him a call if you can.
This guy.
Eric, come out and play.
I think from my perspective, too, about breeders, like probably being the ones that should be influencing, it puts like kind of an obligation on the breeders, doesn't it? Let's say you're working with Abronia, for instance. Abronia Alliance does have their own Instagram and stuff, but like, let's say you're working with Abronia and you are killing it with Abronia. You're producing them like no problem, and you are taking care of them great. Like you're doing really, really good work. And then you don't teach people how to do it. You don't show people how to do it. It's like, and everybody gets their Abronia and they just end up killing it. They do it wrong. They're breeding it wrong. It's not working out for them. And then it's like, but they could be. You could show them the right way to do it. You know? Yeah. And that's what sucks.
All right, we're going to give Chuck a call real quick. There's nothing better than the smell of coffee in the morning, okay? There's also nothing better than the smell of reptiles in the morning. Psych. Reptiles with coffee. That's the smell you want. The strongest coffee, all right? We have it for you. Head on over to the description or go to coldbloodedcaffeine.com and use the code REPTILESWITH to get your Reptiles with coffee today. All right, so do you think that reptile breeders should be influencers?
Should reptile breeders be influencers?
Yes.
I don't see how the two correlate. Yeah, I think so.
Do you think that because they're reptile breeders, like if they become influencers, they'll have too much control over like people's opinions on certain animals, certain markets, stuff like that?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, regular influencers do the same. So it is what it is. I feel like with breeding specifically, like if you're talking about like stupid stuff like ball pythons and stuff, it doesn't matter. But I think like, let's say somebody's breeding some rare shit, like they might have like a trick or two that they can teach other people to be able to breed something. So yeah, I think they could be influencers. Like,
okay,
just because like as it is, like regular influencers can influence for bad and for good. Like, doesn't change much. I feel like it's the same way with breeders.
I had said the same thing. For the most part, Chuck, like my thing was like, oh, there's such a wasted potential in like the actual good breeders, the people that are doing like really, really good work, not being influencers and not teaching people right ways to do things, or like you said, tips and tricks to like actually have success with what they're doing, and that's like, and the influencers that we currently do have are like seriously lacking in a lot of those aspects.
Oh yeah, for sure, and it's not like to force anybody to be an influencer, but it's like a lot of the ones we have do fucking suck, and anybody could be a breeder. You know, anybody could buy some shit and like breed leopard geckos at a facility or something,
Got him.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh man.
Yeah, like anybody could do that shit. So.
What were the other points on that podcast?
I mean, those were that was the big ones. I don't want to give away too much because I would like for people to go check it out.
Yeah.
Now, Chuck, you just did a podcast, the Nah Dude podcast. How'd that go?
That was fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Very interesting to look at other, like, what do you call that? Like another world.
Another industry.
Like, they're all comedians.
Yeah.
Like, it was interesting seeing a whole other world of people doing podcasting so similar to us. And it's like, when I got there, they watched ours and they were like, yo, like, it's exactly the same thing. It's a whole bunch of boys hanging out, talking shit. And, like, they say some wild shit on that podcast just like we do on ours. And, like, that's pretty much, like, it was a lot of that. I got to hear a lot of things about comedy that I didn't know. And, like, as a community, you know, like, that community, I got to hear some things. I don't know. I got to learn a lot, honestly.
Yeah. Well, if you link up again with them, I want to go. I want to meet them. They look cool.
For sure. It was fun. It's in their house, too.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, they have a podcast, like, room.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you noticed, if you watch the podcast I am in, like, the background and stuff is all plants and stuff, but that's like, they change it every time.
Oh, yeah?
Depending who's coming, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool as fuck.
I saw you showing off your balls to them, dude.
Yeah,
that's kind of sus.
Yeah. I actually talked about that a little bit. They asked me, like, because, like, that's the most I have of, and they're like, why? And I said, well, this is how I started, like, as a young kid, and then the ones that I still have, like, they open a lot of doors for me, so why not take care of the animals that took care of me?
Like a nostalgic thing.
I'm like, like from WWE, like, artists and photographers and shit, so, like, of course I have them.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, yeah, dude, let's if it happens again, let me know. I'd like to meet these dudes. You know that obviously I'm super into fucking comedy. So, yeah, man.
Honest. Oh, one of them actually opened for Angel Schultz.
Oh, no way. That's cool.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, so it's like a crazy connection back to, like, oh, I want to end up there. That's my end goal.
Yeah. Well, did you tell them that, like, that's like kind of like our inspiration for this shit?
Yeah, I told them. I was like, yo, because that's when I told them, because they asked me, like, how we run it and, like, what got us to run it that way. I said Andrew Schultz, and then he cut me off. His name is Pedro. Pedro cut me off, and he goes, yeah, I actually opened for Pedro, for Andrew Schultz. Nice. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's so cool, man.
Fuck yeah, bro.
Hell yeah, dude. But all right, bro. Feel better. The community loves you, and wipe your ass and clean your mouth.
Yeah, it's fucked up, dude. It's a mess.
All right, bro. Later.
Dude.
And that was Mad About Reptiles.
Yeah, that was his opinion on the matter. I thought he would talk less. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That was
Eric,
mad
do I leave your
vomiting
phone
reptiles.
here? Yeah. Okay. Cool. But yeah, dude. So that's his shit. Well, how did you feel about what he said?
Yeah, I agree a lot with the influence.
It's so weird that we're all on the same page on this.
Yeah, we never are.
I was like, damn, where the fuck is he arguing?
You know what though? So okay, like I said with the obligation thing. So like, let's say I'm doing the Play-Doh lizards, right? Do I have an obligation to go ahead and start posting everything that I'm doing about the Play-Doh lizards and like any success I've been having and like all that stuff, because there isn't a lot in terms of like breeding success with them.
You know, that's an interesting topic. Obligation, and if you decide no, is that gatekeeping?
Very interesting. It's what, you know, so with it reminded me of DM Exotics with Dan Maliri. I talk about this guy a lot on podcasts.
Yeah, good boy, dude.
But recently he was putting out, I think within the last year, he put out videos about any species he's bred. He put out a Pataeus video, Gonyosoma video, Beauty Snake video about like his success breeding them, any tips and tricks with imports, any kind of how to raise babies, get them onto rodents, that kind of thing. And like his whole thing at the beginning of the videos were like, hey, I'm old. You know, it's time that someone put this information out there, because even when I'm long gone, people are still going to be importing these animals. You might as well know what you're doing when you get them, you know, instead of having to do all this learning all over again, you know, for every single species that comes in. So he's like, oh, I'll just put it all into YouTube, cement it forever into history. And it's like,
interesting.
Yeah, you know what? That's like the thing. People should do that, you know, teach each other the things. And I think that it can become a lot of gatekeeping. Where it's like, no, I know how to do it. I'm not going to tell anybody. It's like keep a thing on the market, which I think is a potential negative if breeders start to become influencers.
True. Well,
they won't show that.
A lot of like, I am not saying that I am an influencer.
He's saying
Disclaimer.
he's an influencer.
I am not saying that. But when I got into the Blue Tongues, it was hard to get solid information out. And the people that did give me information, I mean, one of them was Manny, and he helped me out a lot. But then some of the other people were like super picky about the information that they gave me, and they only wanted me to do certain things their way, right? And now I'm in the middle of pretty much writing an actual paper, not like a fucking study, but like all my whole experience, the way that I keep temperatures, feed, diet, when to feed, when to brewmate, how to breed, what to feed from baby to middle to adult, and I'm gonna do a whole thing on Blue Tongues.
Even better, YouTube video.
Well, I've thought about
now you're an influencer.
Whoa!
Oh.
So, yeah, those things would meet. So it'd pretty much be, I'm gonna write this paper, I'm gonna do a video on it, tag people to that paper on the website and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if you want to support us, head on over to modernreptileshop.com or in the description where you can find our merch. And the best part is that a percent of the proceeds from the merch gets donated to conservation. One more time, that's modernreptileshop.com or head on over to the description. But on the influencer shit, so Wickens, I always fuck up the name, Wickens Wicked Reptiles. Wickens Wicked Reptiles.
There you go.
All right. So he just did a video where he spoke about his opinions on spider ball pythons.
Here we go.
Okay. So I really like the video. I liked his point of view.
Yeah.
He's a solid dude, but
I hated his point of view. I unfollowed.
he literally lost a lot of followers.
Yeah, it wasn't me. I didn't.
No. Did you watch the video?
I did.
Yeah. How'd you feel about it?
You know, I felt honestly it's surprising that he lost so many followers because I thought it was very on the fence. Like not that he was indecisive, but it was almost like he wouldn't want to go one way or the other out of probably fear that exactly what happened would happen.
Got you.
You know?
Well, I think that he was very clear in that he says that he doesn't have the need to breed these things, but he doesn't think that we should just shun the fucking animal.
I like precisely this is what he said about it. He's like, there's nothing wrong with keeping a spider ball python. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. If someone came in with a, let's say a fully disabled animal, there's nothing wrong about keeping that animal. Giving it the best life that you can give for it, doing the best to care for it, giving it to a vet, whatever. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Where it's fuzzy, where it's really fuzzy is like, because there are spider ball pythons already. There's no reason not to give them homes. They're already here. The problem is this: when you purchase one to give it a home, you pay the breeder to do it. And you make fund them, and you make them want to keep doing it, and that's where the ethics of whether or not we should breed them comes into play. Yeah,
and it becomes a certain responsibility.
Yeah.
My ball python quote unquote collection started
with spider ball pythons.
Actually, I had with the 12 animals that I had, the majority had a spider gene. I had a killer bee, bumblebee, lesser bee, some other animals, right? So my first ball python breeding season, I literally just had a shit ton of fucking bumblebees, and that's where my collection started. Back then I didn't really know the stigma. I didn't really understand. But as I've grown and I've seen, honestly, a lot of it is what the market looks like and the fact that if you're not in a pet store settings, those animals don't really sell because the broader community doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So I've little by little taken that stuff out of my collection. The stuff that I have is very minimal, and it's because of all the other genes that are in there, and it's nothing that I'd hold back. Yeah. So there is a responsibility when you're breeding these things. Something that he mentioned, and mind you, it wasn't something that was his opinion. So I'm going to clarify. It was just something that he was saying. Like there is a study that potentially this is a thing, that potentially it's not really a neurological issue. It's like a developmental thing in the skull, something with the ear or something like that.
Or the brain's not having enough sufficient space to grow out.
Or like what we were talking a little bit the other day, a little bit of an equilibrium thing. So maybe potentially it's possible to breed, outbreed to animals that have maybe a bigger head structure, something like that, similar to what they do with crested geckos. That a lot of crested geckos breeders cherry pick certain crested geckos just because of the size of their head.
Right.
Pause. But at the end of the day, that's that was just something that could be potential, but nobody's doing that fucking work.
Yeah, no.
Nobody's gonna sit
Nobody
there.
cares.
But yeah, ball python people are not like that, where they're like what we're talking about on the BallSht podcast, where they're just like, that's a nice pastel. that's nicer than my pastel, but I already have pastel.
No,
you know, like that's how ball python people are.
There's no line breeding with ball pythons.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, a little bit.
a little bit. And you know, with it's just so for me. Actually, on the earlier episodes of the podcast, Chuck actually convinced me why you probably shouldn't breed spider ball pythons.
Yeah,
and he's like, it's because for me it was always like I've never heard an argument against breeding ball pythons that wasn't also an argument for euthanasia in human beings. You know, and it's like, oh, you know, like someone's disabled, they shouldn't have kids. It's like, whoa, what is wrong with you? Like, that's horrible.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the things that he had said is like, you know, because it's like you're intentionally making them reproduce to have that. You know, it's not like, oh, they just reproduced, you know, now we got to take care of the babies. Oh, well, you know, like we're here. It's like, no, you're intentionally doing it so that it would happen.
Yeah.
You know,
but
it's
the
like,
thing is that
that you're right. That does suck. That is bad.
With the spider ball pythons though, it's not absolute. Like you can have animals that don't show it. You can have animals that only show it through stress.
Right.
And then you can have animals that are corkscrewing, throwing around, backing that ass up, twerking, the whole thing. It's crazy. But yeah, and the thing is that sucks is that if spider ball pythons didn't have that issue, that'd probably be the most sought after mutation for so much.
Actually, I sent Reptiverse a literally an exanthic spider, and I was like, that animal's insane.
Yeah,
that animal's gorgeous.
Yeah,
you know, and it's like, but damn, spider. And you know what? That's a perfect example of influencers influencing.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, people were like, Alex Green with Go Herping. He was like, we should ban spider ball pythons. When that video came out, I think honestly that video probably killed the spider ball python.
Honestly, a lot of it did.
Yeah.
A lot of that shit. Actually, when I started breeding exanthic ball pythons, the goal was to make an exanthic fire bee. The whole project was based off the spider ball python because you're talking about like the band's skinny and nice looking on a black and white snake, you know, but we've pretty much for the most part abandoned that project because you know we understand the stigma. We choose not. I'm not going to shit on somebody for breeding spider ball pythons. Like if that's what you're doing, you do it. I'm not going to be the guy to do it. You know, stuff that I keep super minimum. But eventually it'll be out.
You know what's crazy too is that a lot of the time, sometimes morphs or even combination of morphs might have certain consequences that we don't even see. Because a neurological condition that's going to present itself from birth. You know, but let's say if it's something like weak lungs. Makes it more susceptible to RIs. Boom, that animal dies. Let's say something that actually shortens lifespan. You know, this animal literally can't live past 20 years old. Yeah. You know, and that kills it. That's like, well, damn. Or even like a developmental issue. Like this animal doesn't produce a certain rib and doesn't have the same mobility.
I'll do you one better.
Whatever.
A certain pigment combination that creates tumors on the fucking animal
in later life. Yeah. Exactly. That's like even albinism. Albinism. Eventually, if you have an adult albino animal that's in a lot of light, it'll go blind. Yeah, it does. So it's like those are also little things that inhibit the animal. Yeah, are those things that then we shouldn't breed?
I would say honestly, dude, like
specifically albinism.
Yeah, well, for albinism in captivity, depending on the animals, they could do their thing. The ones that I have gripes with are specifically ones. Honestly, the fucking lemon frost leopard gecko, where it's just like, no, dude, like these things, like what they have is like a skin cancer, and that's what you know, like that combination in their DNA creates this color, and it's very pretty, but it's also gives them fucking tumors, but pretty much.
Here's what's really interesting about the lemon frost specifically is that you cannot be born with cancer. There's no gene that gives you cancer. You know, it's just cells that are doing it wrong.
To be fair, I don't think it's like actually cancer. I think it's like tumors.
Okay.
Is that I don't know if that's one and the same.
I mean,
I'm not
tumors
a fucking
is just
doctor.
a clump of cancer cells.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor.
But like, okay, for me, it's like it might be like what it really is a reduction in immunity and a reduction of immune response. And so because of that, cancer cells develop in normal people just like without any kind of excessiveness. And so the cancer develops and the body in a normal healthy human body will fight it and kill it, you know. Okay. But let's say in leopard geckos and lemon frost leopard geckos, a certain gene doesn't allow an immune response to be brought about properly, and thus cancer is rampant. Cancer is stronger. Yeah, you know, it's like whoa, that's crazy, and that could happen with anything.
Yeah, but the thing is with the lemon frost is that there's like a legitimate science
Yeah.
study, a paper
get cancer.
that it's like, yo, like this equals this. Even if it doesn't show, like it's there, you know, and it's like people still try to breed this shit, and people are trying to outcross it to see if they can prove it out. But I don't think that that's possible when a scientist is literally like this equals this.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's hard when it's like because a wobble isn't gonna kill the animal, but
Yeah.
something like kind of outcross super lilies or super zeros, and bearded dragons or lemon frost.
I don't think there's super zeros, bro.
No, they die.
No, but it's not a super zero bearded dragon.
Oh, it's what?
No. So okay, I got you.
Which one is it?
So yeah, it is the zero.
Okay.
Right, but it's that you cannot breed 0 to 0.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not incomplete dominant. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
and yeah.
Connections.
They said the healthiest way to do it is head to head.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
what
my
it is.
B.
You're good, bro.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
I
love
was
it.
like, oh, you combined the two? Super. Yeah. Sorry, I'm still in the ball python stuff. Jeez.
But yes, the lily whites like that. Actually, the spider ball pythons are like that. Same thing with the lily whites. The people have bred spider to spider before, and the super version appears to be a white snake, but it never lives. It dies in the egg. And now, mind you, I don't know if it's white because it didn't develop all the way, but yeah, that's what happens with super spider ball pythons. Yeah.
So it's like you're gonna outcross the super form.
Hell yeah, brother.
Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Like, I'm not gonna like I said before, I'm not gonna shit on people for if they want to breed it or not. I don't know why the fuck so many people unfollowed this dude.
I think maybe because
Just because he had an opinion, bro.
Yeah. He influenced
all
the
right.
wrong way.
It's the community. It's the community. You got to remember who's watching that type of video.
Yeah.
Who's watching it? Describe them.
A lot of pet keepers who
Wow,
tend to have
Eric, way to
very,
generalize.
Hey, it's the truth. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
I'm
the
not even
same-
gonna lie. Sometimes it's just soft people.
Yes. I mean,
Damn,
not
dude.
everyone's soft.
Not everyone's soft.
You gotta be erect as fuck.
But yeah, no, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. If like, let's say you post a lot of, let's say axolotl content. You post a lot of axolotl content. Chances are, a majority of your audience is gonna be kids. You know, not necessarily because axolotls are for kids, but like kids like axolotls because of the Minecraft. Look, it's a circle. It's all connected. And so if you post something like that's going to be more mature, you know, then your audience is supposed to experience something like, let's say, I don't know, you comment something about, I don't know, an adult topic, you know, and then boom, you lose half your followers because these kids are like, what the fuck? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, yeah, that's going to happen. You know, not that Wickens Wicked Reptiles viewers are soft, but like, you know,
They're definitely not erect.
they're not spider ball python breeders. So it's like, yeah, no, or spider ball python
And
supporters. So
especially
like, no.
in the community now that everything's so divided with pretty much every opinion.
Yeah.
It's not really surprising. It kind of sucks. That's how it is. That people kind of just completely like if someone believes a certain thing, it's like an automatic.
Well, that's what this podcast is here for.
Yeah.
To bring people together. 3 different people, 3 different opinions, yelling at each other every week on Wednesday.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, you're a reptile lover, all right? And what do we all need? We need supplies. So, we got you covered. Head on over to imperialreptiles.com and use the code REPTILESWITH to get a specific discount special to us and our listeners for your reptile supplies today. One more time, that's imperialreptiles.com. Use the code REPTILESWITH. I'm not going to be the person, like I said, to tell people what to breed, what not to breed. You sent us that Chris Leone video that pretty much he was saying that people... Eric, what is it that people don't care about certain animals anymore? Was that the whole situation?
Essentially, people don't because something is so common, and this is a very interesting thing that I've noticed with just the reasons why people get certain animals. People don't tend to care about what's common. A lot of
I know
the
somebody
allure,
like that.
damn. Well, I guess everybody here. I guess
I know somebody who, if you tell him what, I'm not gonna say his name, but he may or may not be in this room. That if you tell him what you work with, he will judge you based on what you work with.
Okay, there's 2 of them. There are
There's
2
two of
here.
them. Yeah.
There's 2 of them.
Someone comes in here.
Is that one of them? I'm not gonna say who it is.
Oh, there's 3.
Yo,
Everybody, what are you talking about?
guys, everybody listen to this podcast. Listen, they don't want my opinion on shit. They think that I suck because I breed ball pythons, but they still ask me, Yoshi, what do I do? What am I supposed to do with this? Should I set it up like this?
For the record,
I don't know. I breed ball pythons.
I asked the group chat.
Oh wow.
And what did you guys end up doing? Tell me what you guys ended up doing.
I don't know.
Setting them up the way that I said to set them up.
Yeah.
Everybody gave
I
opinions.
didn't disagree.
Well, to be fair, I would still do it, but everybody was like, "Look, I'm not gonna be the one to touch this." I'm like,
Listen,
"Hey, I'll choose the guy with the opinion."
That whole
I'll
situation
choose the
is
guy who said
just
something.
whatever.
Listen,
Yeah.
Anyway,
I could be
talking
cool
about?
and breed ball pythons. You guys can go fuck yourselves.
With the
I have cooler things.
you have reef turtles now.
That's not it.
That's super
My bridles
cool.
are outside again.
No, the reeds are
Aloe's
cooler.
on a hammock.
There you go.
I bought a fence
Nice.
for the turtles.
All
right.
But yeah, with the Chris Leone thing about like common reptiles if they matter anymore, and like the first part of this video, he's talking about how cool these animals are. He's like, look, leopard geckos are super cool, and he talks about their
Psych.
natural ecology.
He's the only person that
Sulcata
I've ever heard
tortoises.
talk good things about red-eared sliders, and
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Yeah. And it
Love
was
that.
like, it's they're and he said it too. He's like, they're common for a reason. They were popular for a reason because they were fantastic. They are fantastic animals. You know, there's nothing. And I'll admit, I am the first person to be like, you have a leopard gecko? Wow, nice. You know.
Oh, you breed leopard geckos? Whack.
Whack. Why are you doing that?
You breed ball pythons? Whack.
Whack.
Fuck you.
But
That frog's on my side, bro.
I had said because I'm always an advocate, like, hey, if you go ahead and you research the animal that you want, you're passionate enough, and you put enough money into it, you can keep whatever. You really can. My first snake was not a corn snake or a ball python.
It was a dildo.
It was a blue beauty rat snake, which is not what people recommend for beginners. But I was like, I did the research. I've worked with them before. I was like, I love this animal. I'm going to have them. And so, like, that's mostly my mentality. It's even when you said one of the employees was like, "Well, I want a ball python." You're like, you know what, dude? You could try something else. You don't have to start with a ball python. Yeah. Again, not that there's anything wrong with this guy breeds them, but it's just like a matter of, hey, why not try something new? Why not do something new? And so throughout the video, I was thinking, like, is then there an obligation to continue to produce these animals? Like, let's say for normal ball pythons or for sulcata tortoises, you know, because should people be like, yeah, no, we should keep breeding these so that they never go out of the hobby?
Dude, it's weird because, like, yes and no. With there's no such thing as an obligation, but there is a demand. With certain animals, you should reach that demand, right? Ball pythons, yes, you should reach the demand because at the end of the day, they do make great pets. Leopard geckos, same thing. People love leopard geckos. They're an easy gecko. They're, you know, it's basic. But fucking sulcata tortoises, there's a lot of them, and most of them go into the wrong hands.
Of course, yeah.
Those things get huge. If they don't die by the time they get that big, usually I would say the majority of them end up in a rescue.
And it's so sad because they're endangered where they're from.
Yeah.
In Africa, they are protected.
I'll tell you that something that got put into my head from the conversations with Chuck and you is that, like, that's great that they're here, and it sucks that they're endangered over there, but we're never going to release them back over there because there's the bloodline here is probably not clean, you know. So then,
there's no programs to do it.
what is the point of that argument then? Oh, they're endangered there, but we got them. You know, that's the thing where I'm like, you know, back and forth with those kinds of comments. But I do like the sentiment that if they go extinct in the wild, they would not be extinct because we have them as pets. You know, but not everybody should have them.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But see, like, so I've had this conversation with you before. You don't think the ball python will ever go out of favor?
No,
It'll
dude.
always be the number one pet snake. You know, it's funny because it wasn't always. It was corn snakes.
Yeah.
Corn snake was the number one pet snake.
Yes.
And then with leopard geckos, yeah, they're the number one right now. But honestly, anyone who has a leopard gecko, I could be like, dude, you want a fat tail? You want an African fat tail gecko? Dude, those are a little bit better.
So,
or even with bearded dragons, I'm like, do you want a Euromastix?
I'll do you one
That's
better.
right. Do
Blue
you want a
tongued
blue
skink.
tongue skink?
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
it's like these animals can be replaced.
Yes.
And does that mean that they will phase out of the hobby?
Okay, so the thing is, corn snakes were first, right? But the reptile community wasn't what it was today. Corn snakes were like the thing, and like everybody's dad had a corn snake, kind of thing. Then ball pythons came, and that's the everyman snake. Everybody can have a fucking ball python. Easy to care for. They don't get that big. Solid temperament. And variety of colors. Just by those standards, no other snake can legitimately beat it. You know? Now, with the leopard geckos, honestly, I don't think that's the best pet gecko. Get a fucking crested gecko.
Or a crested gecko.
Yeah.
There you go.
If you want something terrestrial, then I'd say fat toes are cooler. But, yeah, if you just want gecko in general, crested geckos are the way to go. What was the other one that you said? Oh, bearded dragons? That one's tough. I'm on this, you know me, I'm on this kick. Blue tongues are a better pet, but they're a lot more active. Bearded dragons just kind of like,
Yeah.
You
And
know?
baby blue tongues aren't nice.
yeah,
Some of them.
They are.
All of them?
Yeah.
They're spunky.
They have a spunk,
Yeah.
but dude, like by the time that a baby blue tongue comes into like front of shop, like it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, because you're talking about it is mean when it's out of the fucking
Yeah.
womb this big, the size of your palm. You feed it, you clean it 3 times, you know, and you're handling it during those times. It tames out
Relax.
like that.
Yeah.
The imports are different.
Yeah,
but
of course. Yeah,
so
yeah.
get
And
the
that's
shit
like
captive bred.
That's like
by
the
Modern
only
Reptile.
thing that the ball python really has the strongest hold over. Like, yes, they have morphs, but there are other snakes with morphs, you know. But it's like it's the strongest hold is that a baby ball python is just like so tolerant. They
Yes.
take so much.
Yes.
You know, and it's like a baby corn snake will not take your shit. A baby hognose will not take your shit.
What was the name of
You know,
the-
a baby sambo will not take your shit.
What
They're
was
like,
the name of the little girl from Finding Nemo that would poke the glass?
Darla.
Darla, yeah.
Darla.
Ball pythons are Darla snake. Like that's the thing that could take everything.
Yeah,
That's the Darla snake.
they are.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, they just take it.
Yeah.
You know, it's sad. It's sad, but like that's what makes them number one. It is. That's what makes them number one. Anyone can have a ball python.
Yeah. Did you take anything from that video where you were like, "Oh, this is like solid"? There was anything that you disagreed with that he said?
I don't think so. No, actually, no. The only thing is that the obligation to continue to breed them. You know, it's like, will red-eared sliders always be the number one pet turtle? Will sulcatas always be the number one pet tortoise?
I kind of. What did you take off of the Red Ear comments, Eric? I know that you said that you liked it.
In terms of what?
Like you said you liked it. What did you like about it?
About what he said about it?
Yeah.
That the wonder's still there. Like what I was gonna say earlier was about how people tend to view certain animals like they'll only it's kind of like a status thing. Like people will only go after a certain animal because it's endangered. So that means it's more.
Yeah, he did mention
I'll
those
be
things
cooler
too.
if it's endangered or whatever. But it's like whatever we have here, just because it's common doesn't mean it's worthless. You know, because honestly, like if you put it in perspective on paper, our red ears are a really cool turtle.
Yeah.
You know, it's got beautiful
Of
colors.
course.
The turtles that we have here in the States don't look like anything else. You know, sliders and cooters, we see them all the time. They're $25, but it's a different animal than what a lot of people are seeing
Yeah.
across
As a
the
turtle.
world.
Yeah.
You know, and just because they're everywhere, people kind of I understand the stale feeling people get from it.
Yeah.
But we should, out of respect for the animal itself, like we should still. It's objectively a good animal, and just because it's everywhere
Right.
doesn't mean it's worthless. Essentially.
I wouldn't say that it's worthless, but I would say that that's fair. I have very similar feelings about sulcatas that I do red-eared sliders, because that's not everybody's fucking turtle, man. Those things, if they make it into adulthood, they're a nuisance because nobody wants to put a pond outside.
We're talking about two aspects, really. It's like the mindset towards these animals. It's like, no, these animals are
Yeah.
cool. Sulcatas are awesome. Leopard geckos are awesome. Red-eared sliders are awesome.
Yeah.
And then are they the ideal pet for the
Yes.
people that are getting into this and starting this? It's like, no, they're not.
Yeah.
For a lot of the times,
I
they're
agree.
not. You know.
And this just reminded me of a YouTube video that we're planning, that we're thinking about doing.
The Rapace taste test.
No, that's coming. And all that. If you're only listening to this, subscribe to the fucking YouTube channel because we're gonna be doing videos on there. Other than podcasts, we're gonna have videos on Fridays. But that, like, what animals would we recommend over the popular version of it? We're not gonna go into it because I want it to be in the video. But yeah, red ears. I feel that if you're gonna have them as pets, you should get the mutations, because if you have any ounce of you want to throw that thing outside, it may not survive, and therefore it will not harm the ecosystem, because the mutations.
But I
don't
mean,
naturally
people are
survive
throwing it
outside.
outside so that it doesn't die with them. They're not
I
like,
know.
go die outside.
Yeah, but the thing is that, like,
I mean, sometimes they are.
because some pet people are gonna get the notion that it's okay to throw out your pet,
Which is
and at
insane.
least that, if you're gonna throw out the pet, like, don't throw out the one that's gonna destroy your ecosystem.
Yeah.
You know?
facts.
Because
Yeah.
people don't
If
care
that-
enough to
You know-
understand that.
You actually reminded me with your comment about a point that I had thought about in the video, and it's like, because I don't have the mentality of judging someone for like. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I am judging, but like an instance where someone is like, "Oh, I go ahead and breed leopard geckos," you know, and it's like, or ball pythons is another example. I'm like, you know how many people do what you do? It's enough to sustain the whole hobby. You don't need to do this. There's no need for you. You're not gonna make it unless you do something insane. But it's like if you do something different, if you work with a different animal, for instance, people who breed.
Shat on my whole business.
I'm sorry.
I'm kidding.
People who breed like veiled chameleons,
Yeah.
and it's like, dude, if you got a hold of carpet chameleons, or if you got a hold of panther chameleons and started breeding them readily, we wouldn't have to be importing them anymore. People would have them like up the ass already.
Yeah, but you're talking about animals that are significantly more difficult to breed to somebody that's successfully breeding a specific species and it is viable, that it gives them business and it helps feed their family.
I could care less about how you make a living. I really could, because people do unethical things to make a living. It doesn't justify the living.
Would it be great if you had one less cage of it to try to fill the niche for something else? I think that is important.
I guess. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're doing, for instance, if you're doing, let's say Uromastics. Let's say you're breeding.
Say fuck.
Fuck.
Thank you.
Let's say you're breeding Uromastics.
Yeah.
And you're breeding, I don't know, ornates. You know, a lot of people are breeding ornates. You know, probably not enough to supply the demand. But like, if you were breeding something like a Yemenensis or a Thomasai or the Nigerian, so they don't have to be as imported as much. Like, it's like you're doing something that is, and in my head is literally the opposite of the Chris Leone video. It's like that's more meaningful. You're doing something that's might actually be important and might actually matter. But if you're just breeding red-eared sliders in your backyard, you're not doing shit. You know, you're not. You could be doing more. You could be doing something that actually makes a difference and matters.
But it does matter.
And it does people. if you're that specific person.
Yeah, I mean, it's always subjective, isn't it?
Yeah. So like, let's say I forget Brian Barczyk's company's name.
BHP or Reptarian?
BXB.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's say he just decided to stop breeding ball pythons. That would have an impact. That's a huge impact because he's like, that's like the number one, or Canova. It's like that's one of the number one ball python people. You know, but like someone who's like breeding ball pythons because they just want to, it's like it's almost a waste.
My company.
It's almost a waste to an extent.
I'll tell you.
Just think about it. If you were breeding diamond carpets, right?
Oh my God!
Instead of the ball pythons.
No, dude.
We might make more money depending, maybe.
No.
And then
significantly harder to breed. Need more space.
You would keep diamond carpets in the hobby.
Carpet
and do
pythons
it well.
should not be in racks.
You don't have to do them in racks.
Yeah, but
you shouldn't do ball pythons in racks.
I would. All right, this is the thing. So I'm gonna give you my point of view on that since you shat all over my business.
No. Blue tongues are cool.
Yeah. No.
Turtles
okay.
are
So if I'm being honest with you, I actually have a similar mindset, which is why I am phasing out like 90% of the animals of the ball pythons that aren't like investment grade. Like, okay, I'm doing this because it's like business move. Like, no more pet grade stuff except for the blue-eyed Lucy's because that feeds the collection.
That feeds the whole thing.
You know, so the majority of my animals will not be average pet grade animals. So I could see where you're coming from because in that instance, I think your argument is not. I know I was making the joke you're shitting on my company, but your argument is not for me. Your argument is for Buddy that buys a fucking pastel, a Mojave, and a spider ball python. They're just like, I'm gonna breed these fucking snakes.
Yeah,
you know, like it's that guy that you're like, yo, like, why are you
even
doing that?
with turtles? You're breeding muds and you've bred diamondbacks and you want to try the reeves. It's like, these are turtles that make better pets. They do better. You know, if you were breeding red-eared sliders, like, damn, you're fucking wasting your potential.
I am though. I have red-eared morphs.
The morphs.
Yeah. No, but I get what you're saying. The morph part of it or what?
No, just in general.
Oh.
No.
No. I'm in love with some red-eared morphs. You know, that's my problem. But even then, dude, like that used to be the red-eared morphs almost was like the mindset of like the Aldabra and the Galapagos tortoise. Those are your retirement projects. It's not like that anymore because China was like, we have too many turtles, you can't do this. So you're talking about like an albino pink belly went from $800 to $200 in a year. It was crazy. Yeah, man. I think that's the podcast, bro.
That is the podcast.
Yeah, that was that. Well,
breed cool shit.
But
the old shit or the common shit,
the
still cool. It's still cool.
He likes ball pythons.